You turn my mourning into dancing. You turn my mourning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my mourning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
Yo, what's up? Happy Tuesday, everybody.
In the new office.
In the new, hey, wait, I'm not Pastor Tom. Let me get that out of
Get that out of there.
there. Whoa, welcome, guys. Look at you got the tree up, kind of making it at home in here, man. For those of you who haven't experienced a new church, man, I'm so excited for you guys to experience it Sunday or in the near future. But it's just awesome. Like walking in here this morning was just refreshing. Yeah, new beginning, and I'm so excited for it. It's a beautiful day outside, a little rainy, but still a beautiful day. And man, we're in the faith chapter, Hebrews, and it's awesome. So we're gonna jump into there. I'm gonna say hi to some folks. But we're gonna be in Hebrews 11, and so pull up your Bible while I say hi to everybody. Steve Giroux did an awesome job at this morning's devotion. Chuck B, good morning. Diane, good morning. Jody, good morning. Dr. Colleen out there on X with Trish. Good morning, King Gooch. Vivian Davis, good morning. Christy Bipes down there in Greendale. Bert Reggiani, good morning. See you soon, brother. And Karen Thompson also out there on X. Good morning. All right, so let's dive on in. We are in chapter 11, verses 13 through 31. I'm going to pull it up on your screen like so. All right, here we go. So, by faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents because they saw that the child was beautiful and they were not afraid of the king's edict. And so I just want to pause right here because I think this is so powerful. Well, first off, right? Like, so we always credit like Moses, man, Moses must have had this great faith and all this other stuff. But man, like this is about this. This has nothing to do with Moses's faith. This is everything to do with his parents' faith. And like to think like so the edict, the thing that went forth that all the male children had to be put to death. And so Moses's parents were like, "Hey, we're not afraid of Pharaoh. We're not afraid of these decrees. We're not afraid of man. We're gonna have faith for this child. We're gonna, you know, we see something in him, right? If we're gonna put him in this water, and by faith, he's gonna survive, right?" Pastor Tom's putting up the tree. I like it. And I just love that, right? Like they're standing up for what they believe in the midst of persecution, in the midst of penalty, and it looks good right there. And they're just like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, like we're gonna have faith, and so they do, and so we don't know if Moses had a name before that. We don't know if they named him or anything like that. Moses is what his Egyptian mother named him, and it means like, because she pulled him out of the water. I don't remember exactly what it means, but she drew him out of the water, and that's why they named him that. But Moses, right? Like he was spared because of the faith of his parents, and we think about our children and we think about our lives and people in our lives. Sometimes it's so good to have faith for others, right? And what am I going to do today? Like, how am I going to live my life in faith today that is going to affect Reese and Louie? That's going to affect the next generation. We don't think about that all the time. We don't think about that. Like, man, the decisions that I'm making actually have a broader stroke. They're affecting more people than just me. And so, man, like let's stand in faith. Let's be men and women who are firmly rooted in God's truth. Therefore, we're not easily shaken. We're not easily tempted, or we're not easily. I don't know the word, but swayed away from God's principles, and convinced to not say anything, not do anything. Like when I see an injustice, when I see something that's off, man, I'm going to say something. I'm going to stand to be a pillar of light and truth, guiding people back to the principles of God and the King, because it's better. He has a better way for us, and I'm going to be bold about proclaiming his truth in a lost and dying world, because there are men and women who need to hear it. And the enemy is screaming lies from the mountaintop. And so it's time for the church to climb that same mountain and scream for Christ. And so that's just that. We just getting started, y'all.
You're not getting to 31. We're just going to change how many verses. This is really good.
Oh, it's so good. By faith, Moses in 24, by faith, Moses, when he was growing up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. Come on, y'all. Like, so there's just so much. And, my brain's going to what Pastor Tom was talking about before we even hit live. And he was talking about how this idea of public virtue, right? It's a term we don't hear often enough, where these people were sacrificing for next generation. Or what was the example you were given?
What's that?
What was that example you were talking about?
Oh, Abraham is told that he's going to be he's going to have a nation, that he's going to have all this land.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen for 400 or 500 years afterwards.
Yeah.
So although he's richly blessed and experiences God's faithfulness, his faith had to believe that even after he closed and he had his last breath,
that God
would be faithful. He had no clue. He probably thought it was going to be his son, but it wasn't Isaac. Maybe Isaac thought it would be Jacob. It wasn't Jacob, right? 400 and some years later, they finally walk into the promised land, and it's still not done because now it's us, the new Israel. I mean, it's just perpetuating.
Yeah. So all these people went through all of this stuff, and they didn't benefit the full promise, right? But they knew that, hey, I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to live my life so that generations after me, they can walk in it. They can do it. And that just takes my brain to that public virtue, right? We've heard that story about the farmer when the Britons were coming over, and we didn't know if America was going to be anything anymore. And like they were planting, they're planting oak trees and all these things that wouldn't be beneficial for hundreds of years. And they were like, hey, but you know what? When they are beneficial, like my great grandkids are going to benefit from my efforts today. Or, you know, like they would, just there's so many stories of just like public virtue, people doing things today that won't affect them, that they might not walk in it, but the generations after them will walk in it, right? And so all of us, even reading the books of Moses, right, the first 5 books, and reading the Exodus, reading all these things that he did these things. He chose, like in Egypt, he's like, man, I could just live my life, right? I've been gifted and shown all this mercy to now grow up, not as a slave, but in a palace, right? And I will forsake all of those things, right? Because I don't want to give over, and I don't want to just be given over to sin. I don't want to lose my purpose, my destiny. I'm going to stand because there's something God's putting in me, right? And
so even before, years later, 75 years old at the burning bush, as a young man, he sensed God was calling him, that he might deliver Israel from Egypt, right? But it didn't happen the way he thought it was going to happen, and so he runs away. But he had it in his, God placed it in his heart that he's going to be the guy. He had every right to just party on, right? He was in the wealthiest nation there is.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been easy, right? Like, so actually, I love this in Acts 7. There's a description of Moses that is kind of mind blowing. So Acts 7, verses 22, it says, and Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in words and deeds, right? He was mighty in words and deeds. But what happened when he was at the burning bush and he was talking to God? He says, man, I have a stutter. I can't speak. I can't, like, he was completely broken, right? Like, and so he's this man who grew up, and he looked good. He was wise, and he had this awesome speech about him. And then through all this stuff and all these trials and all this stuff, he stayed faithful, but it broke him. It literally broke him. So that then God was like, all right, now you're ready. Right? You did all this stuff, you put in the work, and now you're ready. And now I'm going to use you as a deliverer. And so let us not fret. Let us not like just get weary in doing good, right? But let's endure to the end, even if we won't even see the benefit fully. We will experience grace. We will experience mercy, and we will experience the promises of God, but we might not see everything. But the Holy Spirit, but generations will be affected by our sacrifices today. Generations will be changed, and lives will be forever changed by the decisions that we make today. And so I like, we should just end it right there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But God is so good, man. He's so good, and he's so faithful, and he's worth putting in the work and just standing up for his promises. Standing up for his promises. All right, that's it, y'all. Thank you. Bert Reggiani said, we are all good for the move. Where do we want them to meet? Are we meeting at the old place, right?
Yeah, we're meeting at the office.
Yeah, so Bert, just meet us at the Legacy Center. And that's where we will be. Good to see you too, Shane. Good morning. Good morning. All right, y'all. That's it. We'll be back here at 9 for some prayer. All right. See you later. Peace.